Hello and welcome back to Alpha Tauri. We're here at Silverstone, but first I need to put out a thank you message for the support on this series so far. As a recording, 8 episodes have gone live and I am thrilled with the response on the series so far, and quite generally the support I've had over the past year. I recently looked at the year-on-year statistics and I knew they were good, but I didn't know they were that good, so thank you very much. And also, very specifically to this series in particular, I've noticed, really drilling into the data, it does seem that those people who do watch these episodes in their entirety, most of you do like the videos as well, which is super helpful, and I think it's why it's getting pushed to more people as a result. So thank you to everyone that's going through, particularly to those people obviously that do like the videos. If you don't do so, please do. It does help. Thus ends the bit of the video which I hate doing, which is begging for likes, and I particularly hate doing at the beginning. So let's get on with what you're here for. But I had to do the thank yous, and that kind of goes hand in hand. Here's the calendar. So, a new side pod was recently designed, however it will not be ready for this race. You can see underfloor and suspension continues to be developed. I think we had them in time for Austria as well, so no improvements from Austria to Great Britain, sadly, even though there was a front wing designed here. Unfortunately, you can't start manufacturing them immediately then. You have to wait till the race weekend is over. Hoping they kind of fixed that a little bit, actually. Because front wings can be manufactured in 3 days, and that would have been exactly 6 to get to Britain, so from that point. So I could have had 2 by them. Unfortunately, I've had to wait, and because I'd only get 1 in time, I decided not to rush them in the first place, so and not go to that extra expense. Also, after this race, there will be regulation votes. I will say up front right here, this is the regulation that tends to ask you about format changes within the season, so extra points for polls and things like that. It can also ask you if you want to change the point structure. If I get the point structure one, I will reset the game until I get it to not change the point structure. I absolutely despise the fact that's in the game. I understand some people do like it, but I will always endeavor to not change the point structure from the 25-point win, thus down to 10. It is the only part of the game that I will absolutely reset, apart from contracts, as I did recently, but the contracts is another kind of subpar arrangement, really. But if I get like the double points for the final race or the points for a pole, I won't reset on those ones. Those are kind of fun little minor alterations that can change up the season on a season-by-season basis. Wholesale changes will resettle if they don't maintain themselves. However, that's all that faff out of the way. I don't believe there's anything really to get you caught up to speed on otherwise. But I will just go into the design sections just for a moment, because I realize I kind of do a lot of this behind the scenes rather than putting in the videos and wasting your time. You can see here, like, I've specialized this rear wing in this section here. Much more top speed, much more DRS effectiveness. Insane. And I've taken a little bit of weight out. I don't believe I took the maximum weight out, because the rear wing is slightly less prone to damage than the front wing, let's say. Those pieces that are very prone to damage, front wing, suspension, I have gone all the way to the left on, but pretty much every other piece, I've taken enough weight out to reduce its durability by about 1 Grand Prix on average, just because I don't think that's really going to affect the bottom line in terms of replacement parts too much, particularly at this point of the season where there's only about 12 races to go anyway, by the time they're going to be ready, 10 to 12 races by the time they get ready. So if they've got a minimum of 5 races in them anyway, opposed to 6, then they're going to do 10 Grand Prix regardless. So it's not going to affect the total amount we're going to have to make. But going forward, obviously, the better our car gets overall, the less I'll kind of rely on reducing the weight and get us where we need to be. It's all just one of those things you need to do in those early stages. And nor am I slamming everything to the left-hand side to benefit those things that are its specialism either. I've said that before. You can see here the cornering still has some positives. I want to make sure there's still some bonuses without 100% gaming the system. But anyway, Britain. It's not a sprint this year, and I was about to say it's not a track that attracts safety cars, but historic safety car chance 100%. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, I'll see you for qualifying. Nick de Vries, apparently not happy at being replaced at AlphaTauri, decided to cost us more money by crashing into Yuki Tsunoda in practice 3, literally at the very end. He's got a penalty for his troubles. Piastri also caused an incident. I think Hulkenberg has other penalties. No issues for our drivers otherwise. Now, the funny thing is, we do technically have one brand new front wing, but we don't have any information on it yet, so we won't put it on. I mean, if there's another incident before the race, we might do. It's got to be said, the wear rates in this year's game are absolutely incredible. Alex literally just got that ARS last race. Admittedly, of course, there was a sprint as well, and it's down 10% in one weekend. Mad. But we'll do the usual strategy. There's no rain all weekend, remarkably, for Britain. Also, I'd just like to say, this is the first recording after having the tip that you can stick your drivers on driving clean air and avoid curbs in practice, and that might help them avoid incidents. I did that in practice 1. Yuki Tsunoda locked up 3 times. So I didn't do it for the other 2. Marginally concerned we had to get past De Vries there. Faster than Hulkenberg is curious. Okay, now all the times we're in, it does feel like Hulkenberg's just had a bit of a problem on his lap because he is notably behind his teammate, although both Mercs are surprisingly poor here. And they have put in similar times, so that doesn't feel quite as erroneous as Hulkenberg's being 8 tenths on Magnussen. Similarly with Leclerc and Sainz, clearly, as well. Perez Verstappen's hard to gauge, really. De Vries to Sargent's 8 tenths as well. Bottas, Zhou, similar gaps. Actually, Norris and Piastri. Actually, apart from the Mercs and the Alpines, pretty much all, and the Astons and ourselves, like 6 out of the 10 teams here seem to have massive discrepancies between their 2 drivers. I don't know whether or not they just brought updates to one vehicle. But then, if they had, they'd have done that to Piastri, not Norris, because the game kind of forgets that Norris is their lead driver, even if he's in car 2. Similarly with Hamilton and Russell. I mean, I do think we need to go again, because that's still only 4 tenths to Hulkenberg, and I don't feel safe. Because Hulkenberg should go faster, and then you've got to worry about Sargent and Norris. I feel like we're going to get 1 through at barest minimum here. It's a 1 minute 30 lap, so we kind of need to be looking around 2:15. It's all well and good trying to get ourselves in a gap, but of course if we push these tyres on manual, then the gaps are largely irrelevant anyway. Both drivers have got very high confidence, not peak confidence sadly. Somebody came out of the pit lane behind us there, and I'm not fully certain they're going to get across the line. Not that it matters, it's an Aston Martin, they're safe anyway, but feels weird. I've got an awful feeling that Alpine's on a flying lap. I don't know why. They're safe. I guess we switch there. Same with Yuki. Fascinating though, just by pushing his tyres, the Alpine driver got stuck. With tyres up to temperature, a little bit of visor cap. Let's see how they get on. 4 tenths the gap on Hulkenberg, who might be on a flying lap now. We probably ought to check who's actually on a flying lap and who isn't. Hulkenberg's on a flying lap. Everyone else is on in laps, actually. I think we're safe then. Oh, we might actually be safe. It doesn't seem to know what we're on either. I'm not certain the benefit. I mean, obviously, warm tyres is always a benefit. Oh, for God's sake. Really? Through Maggots and Beckett's? That's where we hit traffic. No point. Tsunoda will have no such problems. I just still want to know where our pace is, ultimately. There's no point keeping Albon going there. Does he go much faster? No, actually, he doesn't go faster at all, remarkably. Hulkenberg does join his teammate. We're right to be concerned, but... oh well. Piastri's last, even with a penalty. Alright, 2 flying laps, as always. Russell, I think, possibly dealt with in a good place for both drivers. 128.5. It's about the same. 128.3 on the second attempt. No, did they actually improve on the second attempt? Not really. They did better first sectors, probably just because of tyres. Interesting. I think because that final corner, it's a relatively long trap at Silverstone, so they might be a little bit warmer even on auto. I mean, currently top 10, but that doesn't feel like it's going to be a permanent fixture. Oh, forgot the tyre situation. So Albon's come out in a lovely sweet spot. He'll overtake this Haas because it's on an lap as well, but Tsunoda is kind of in flying lap traffic, which is a bit unfortunate. I say, actually, the McLaren ahead is bolted, which is fine, and there's an Alpine behind, which isn't going to catch either. So he'll end up actually in a good spot. Just have to deal with the McLaren practically immediately. Someone's already gone into that top 10. I didn't see who it was. Both Hasses, I think, might be the answer there. So Tsunoda's passed Norris, I assume, because there's no Piastri. I forgot to push their other stuff. I'm not going to pretend I didn't do that. Yeah, we've messed up there. I was on the slowest second sector anyway. Yeah, I've messed up. Russell might be 11th anyway, which is remarkable. I think we've actually, whilst we've made a mistake there, I think that's quite possibly the best place to be for our cars right now, 12th and 13th, off the line, because of the whole confidence chain problem. I don't think I really wanted to be much higher. Because in terms of, I mean, Nico goes backwards anyway, but you don't want too many faster vehicles behind you, really. Because as soon as you get overtaken by one, then that confidence sapping just gets worse and worse and worse. And it actually looks like they did relatively good times compared to the Q1 anyway already, so I don't know how much more they had in the tank. It feels like a track where that isn't as much of a benefit, the sort of manual 2-stop or a 1-stop. I'm going to guess a 2-stop's probably faster. Yes, it is. And more fun. I didn't think they had 2 100% tyres. No, they don't. Yeah, like I say, we have to meter that for the correct response. Medium might be a better shout because you can push the tyres. 19, 19, 14 on the softs. Just go check that's equivalent to Albon. 14, 19, 19, yeah. So same strategy, just different order. Oh, do I actually want that soft in the middle? Actually, for the benefit of getting both tyres out of the way, that's probably the better thing to do. Quite a long lap. Take 1 lap out.
Anticipation is high, and the drivers are ready for this. The British Grand Prix. And it's lights out.
I can see already.
And away we go.
I can see already that Hulkenberg's penalty is back at the grid, which also approached Russell into the points immediately, which Albon's looking to change. On the inside, which will become the outside. Obviously on softs in this original stint. Looks like George is on mediums. In fact, I think pretty much everyone else is on a medium there. Oh no, there's just Albon's in a set of 6 drivers on mediums. A few more at the front and a few more towards the back are on softs to start with. But Albon makes his stick on Russell. We don't get a highlight replay for no explainable reason. But we can push these tyres in waves. Interesting that everyone's got to say, oh, actually no, Hamilton's using a used soft. I was going to say, it's a little weird that everyone's got a fresh soft because they shouldn't with the way the AI, because they shouldn't with the way AI works. Because they do 2 sets of new in Q1, then they use used and new in Q2, and then they use used and new in Q3, at least. So sometimes I think, actually maybe the AI's got better, and yeah, they do that rather than using 2 sets of new in either Q3 or Q2. So Russell was weirdly easy. Oh, hang on, there goes a Haas. That was Magnussen under pressure from Albon, but not that much pressure. Just off he goes, and probably has to wait for everyone. I'll come back here though. Yeah, he did wait for everyone, and then a couple more seconds just to be safe. I'm taking this down to -2.5, by the way. Magnussen just yeeting his way out there kind of has created the gap, unfortunately, between him and Ocon, which is now going to get exploited by George. I think it was the fact that Albon's tyres were a bit warm, and I wasn't pushing him on those warm tyres. But the good news is we can sort of push these tyres in waves a little bit. Like I say, there's a little bit of room and space towards the end of these stints that we can... If the tyres look like they're cooling off a little bit, we can push them periodically. Same with Tsunoda, who has Gasly for company. And Albon is sticking with George, which we were hoping for. Should have DRS. Unfortunately, so does Gasly. But running in the points temporarily, both Hasses at the back has given us that opportunity. I wonder how long it'll take for them to come back. Albon threatening to be out of DRS, and indeed was out of DRS, actually. Gasly remarkably struggling to deal with Tsunoda. Good friends, of course, but on the track that means nothing. He's got him on that one, though. And I would presume that he would be able to get caught up and stick with him now. Looks like the mediums window is about 120 and the softs is 115, so we can sort of keep pushing them in between those 2 barriers. Keep Albon in touch with George. Use him as an early tow, whilst not risking too much. Fortunately, not quite working the same with Yuki and Gasly. Well, we've got Tsunoda back into Gasly by using all of his battery and Norris out of the DRS simultaneously. So hopefully that will provide a gap behind now going forwards. Albon seems to be capable of holding on to George for the time being. This is good work. As a unit, we're dropping Norris. Both Hasses past Piastri. That's a tongue twister. Might need to bring Alex up a little bit there. But that's the thing. We've got that wiggle room with Alex. Just keep these tyres within their operating window and keeping them within the DRS windows at the same time. That's the name of this game. Utilise these faster people. I'd like to think Gasly would just do this for free, really. Being the good friends that they are. Ooh, Alex really struggled with that one corner. I think he's within the detection point, but it looked like he lost about 2/10. It might be just dodgy timings, but he went weirdly from like 6/10 off to being 9/10 off, and I don't really know what happened there. How do we handle Magus and Beckett's in terms of staying in touch? Not very well is the answer. Threatening to stay out of a second, but just about keeping in. Similarly, Tsunoda's just hit a problem there, but hopefully we can get that back with a bit of aggressive driving from Yuki. But we're already at the pit window for Albon. 4 laps away. Yuki's locked up and not actually lost himself any time, I don't think. I'm not sure he's actually lost himself anything here.
Struggling with the car. And they'll need to be mindful of the effect that had on the tyres.
I mean, that looked like the racing line to me. I know I'm not an expert, really, but... Okay, I think that's the last of the we can do with Yuki, because I pushed his tyres close to the temperature. 160 is not far off, but... Well, the good news with Alex is we can basically just slam the tyres for 3 laps once he crosses the line, because he's entered that pit window. But I wonder if we can sort of go aggressive on the tyres, but also harvest and stay behind George and get that ERS at the same time. No is the answer to that. ERS is necessary. Albon going aggressive on tyres has somehow made him slower. Oh, I think George has turned up something there, because he's suddenly, yeah, he's just done 2 fastest sectors, personal bests. Yeah, Ocon did a 137, Russell did a 133. Russell's going faster than the leader on that lap. Yeah, so Russell's just turned everything up to get into range of Ocon, who he clearly sensed was vulnerable there. Still sort of within a pit stop of the leader, which is not too shabby by all accounts. Hamilton's in already, but he had worse tyres. Oh, of course, he locked up, didn't he, Tsunoda? So he's lost a bit of tyre wear, which is a bit of a shame. He'll still make his pit stop, but we can't really push him. Magnussen obviously had the same issue early on. So Albon did the same time as Ocon, actually, by pushing, which is slightly alarming because I think they're on mediums. They are. Under 2.5. We're getting progress here, consistently under 2.5. Sargent in the pit stop is a little annoying because that's going to be an undercut. But he's on softs to begin with. We're going on softs next with Yuki. That's his fight. Albon comes out behind Hulkenberg. There's a big gap between the two Hasses, actually. But 4 seconds behind Hulkenberg's a nice sweet spot, really. Just over quarter distance. We've got 0.4 back after pushing the initial few laps, so I think we might be on course to get it back. There might be a lap or two of conserve if there's no incident. Probably like a lap, maybe. But Tsunoda has Hamilton for company, who has pitted already. I'm intrigued to know what Albon's time is once we get a full lap in. He's 3 seconds behind Hulkenberg now. Go on, Hamilton. We haven't really watched our replay yet. We've only been overtaken. I don't think we've actually made the overtake on ourselves. And the one we did, we didn't get to see. But simple for Hamilton around the outside of Yuki. Yeah, no real questions there. Someone's had an incident. It's De Vries. What a shocker. That's just a lock-up. I think we may have actually technically gone those tyres a lap late. I'm happy to let him push these tyres for these first couple of laps on them. Get them right up to like the top threshold and then let them just sort of come down. Ocon and Russell are about to have the pitted Leclerc for company. And he's gone on to softs from mediums, so he's doing the Yuki Tsunoda approach to pit stops right now. So his pit window's open, but I'll only slam his tyres on the lap he's coming in because he obviously had that early problem. But so Leclerc's about to hold these two up by sort of fighting with them, which will help Albon in the long run. And after this lap's complete, we'll actually get to see what their comparative lap time is because we've had 2 laps of push with Albon now. Yuki was 3 seconds slower than Hamilton. So I doubt he's kept in touch. Oh, he'd actually not as far out of DRS as I thought he was going to be, amusingly. So Albon up to 14th. Still 3 seconds behind Hulkenberg. There's a little bit of a hesitation there. Yeah, he wasn't that much faster than Hulkenberg, which is annoying, but 134.8. They're doing that unused and they're not even pushing them. God's sake. I can't wait for Frontier to sort out the tyre problem because our car is naturally a little bit slower, but they are on 50%. I was on 100% essentially, nearly 90%. Let's still call it 90%. But they're on 16 lap used and I'm on 1 lap fresh, and they are lapping faster than I am on push mode. I mean, they could both be on push mode for all I know, but because they've got the Leclerc for company, they might be trying a little harder. That shouldn't be possible. The Red Bulls, sure, they're in a league of their own, but Alpines, no. I should be getting a massive undercut on this lot, and I'm just not getting it. Although I am closing on Hulkenberg now. He seems to have lost a lot of time. And similarly, Russell's now not even in touch with Leclerc, it seems. I think he just held on to DRS, which has just kept him in that, but Piastri's locked up, irrelevant to our race. Okay, yes, Albon was weirdly faster, now he's not pushing. What? I'm so confused. Alonso in, also not in our race. Optimal pit stop, go on your fresh softs, Yuki. Let's slam these into the ground. Yuki is hilariously actually now the head of the train that Albon's about to join. So we're pitting him essentially just the right moment because Yuki's holding these two up a little bit. It's a little depressing that Hulkenberg's got to that point actually without pitting. Yuki, I think ironically, has actually pulled those 2 cars away from Albon on that lap, but he'll just be joining that train as Yuki dives into the pits. Yes, there's Hulkenberg, there's Norris, and there's Yuki at the front of this 3. There's another car not 10 seconds off Gasly though, Tsunoda, but Gasly's not pitted yet. Hamilton has, and he's back up to 9th. So Yuki in the pits. These two continuing on their mediums, which is interesting. They've decided to go a little bit longer on them. I'm not going to lie, the pit lane does look like it's suffered a zombie apocalypse, apart from us, who's basically at the far end. I think it's only Williams that has a pit box later than us. Sub 2.5 as well, we like to see. So Sargent, because he pitted a lot earlier, he's ahead. De Vries, who hasn't pitted at all, is now ahead as well. Come out ahead of Magnussen still, a couple of seconds. Sargent got a huge undercut by his very early pit stop. What lap did he pit on? Sargent pitted on lap 15, I assume that's to be. Actually, I think he's technically pitted on lap 14 because it's the extra time goes on the lap afterwards because of where the start-finish line is. You actually technically save a little bit of time on your lap data on the lap you pit because it's a shorter point to where the equivalent line is in the pit lane. So the extra 20 seconds gets put on your out lap rather than your in lap. So he pitted on lap 14 to 15. Oh, there's actually a version of this which shows you this a little bit better. So he's done soft. I suppose they had more softs. Well, the good news for Albon here is that he essentially has a full pit stop on Hulkenberg and Norris. De Vries is, Gasly is pitting, so I really want to try and get a little bit of pushing done here. Neither of them peel into the pit stops, which is a tad unfortunate for Alex. I can hear the pit stops for Alpine. Hang on, Alpine are double stacked. I don't know if they actually properly double stacked there or not, but Gasly's come out behind Albon. Good. I think that's Ocon that's literally just ahead of Norris. Don't tell me Norris has got within DRS of him. No, he isn't. He's 1.5 seconds behind. But Albon's got the drive on the Haas. Just whether or not... Can't wait for that rear wing with DRS effectiveness. Blimey. I don't think he can get much closer. It looks terrifying from that angle. Oh, it looked like he was about to drive on through there and hesitated. It looked like Norris went off the track there just briefly when I came back in. Go 3 wide. Go on the inside, Alex. Go on the inside. No? What are we doing here, Alex? Neither of them gone in the pits yet. Are they one-stopping? Because they're going very long on these mediums for some reason. Or they might be doing 2 sets of soft. That's a... Ow. Snowden got De Vries, I think, through the DRS. That's the first overtake we've actually done. De Vries has held him up there. Ironic. Ironic is De Vries that's held us up. Oh, God, I should have been more worried about this because this is exactly how he crashed into him. Exactly the same place De Vries took him out in practice. Say took him out. He only damaged the front wing, but come on, Alex. I know Lando's your friend here, but can we do something about this? Because Ocon's just pelted it. Oh, I thought he was about to drive off the track to get that on the inside. That's a yellow flag. Unfortunately, we've done all pit stops, so if there's any properly instance. I think it was an Aston Martin going off the track. Yeah, Stroll. Magnussen's got through De Vries quite easily. Hulkenberg's out of range of Norris. Wow, we've got DRS here. Literally cannot get past Lando. A little bit of in the braking zone. We'll go off track a little bit. And now he pits. Now he pits. But thanks for that DRS, Lando. And it technically counted as an overtake as well for Albon. Is Albon going to get ahead? No, Albon's still behind Russell, which is fair enough, really. Gasly's closed in because we've been held up. Sonoda should get Hulkenberg and Norris. He does. And might even drag Magnussen past Hulkenberg. Oh, he's had a pit stop issue, that's why. He's come out behind him. But back in the points for Albon. Gasly's going to be a problem long term, but we might have to actually just use Gasly here because of our lack of battery, trying to deal with those two. And the good news is Sonoda is sort of driving away from Magnussen, who's also on softs, but a lot more used softs because they went on a lot earlier because they're doing soft. It does look like, actually, some of those medium runners are doing medium hard, one stop. But Sonoda's doing 133 sixes, which is kind of top 6 territory. Well, 6th territory, really. Ocon's doing 132 sixes for some reason. In an Alpine, he's going faster than Verstappen, which, sure. Oh, Verstappen's in an old mediums. Fair enough then. Another brief incident. Perez, not really affecting us. Oh, Gasly's on brand new softs, actually. Just realised Albon's still topping up. Yeah, so Gasly went through Albon. I didn't even really register that, but he's on fresh softs, which was always going to be difficult to keep up with. I think we can go aggressive with Yuki for a few laps here. Maybe get on the back of Sargent, whose softs are coming off. If we can really make that gap close and get past Sargent before he pits, get a couple of laps of DRS-assisted dragging away. Hulkenberg's got Magnussen, meanwhile. Another brief incident, this time for Ocon, which pushes him a little bit further back towards Russell, as Sargent and Magnussen pit, actually, before Yuki gets there, unfortunately. Oh, actually, Yuki's within the pit window. Leave him on push. Albon, sadly, just massively dropping off Gasly, who is unbelievably quick in this stint. Actually, similarly, he's in his pit stop window, isn't he? You know what, actually, I might push Albon behind Yuki. Although, it sounds like it's just a yellow flag, but it lingered for a while. Forgot to come back. Yeah, so I think lap 33 was actually meant to be the one I was supposed to do onto mediums. Oh, it's the leader that's on lap 33, isn't it? That's what's going on. Only Hamilton came in, so back onto mediums for the end. It's technically the optimal lap for Alex as well, but we'll get him on next lap because there's only about 4 seconds between them on the road, which is a bit of an awkward situation. Wait, hang on. What's going on here? Ocon on brand new hards has just come out directly ahead of Albon. Right, I wonder where Albon had just come from there. Where Ocon had just come from, sorry. I mean, he's just given Albon a bit of DRS, which is nice. And they'll probably giving him up the hanger straight as well. Sonoda only comes out 4 seconds behind the one stopping Norris, so he'll probably get him before the end of the race. He's come out ahead of Sargent as well, who's already stopped a second time. So he's got track position on Sargent. Ocon got up to speed before Albon managed to catch him, weirdly, for the second DRS there. Bit of a shame. So Hulkenberg will get past. One stopper, let's not forget. So despite Hulkenberg's pit stop issue, he got past Norris on track and then drove off. Albon comes out just ahead of Norris, which is going to be problematic when he gets to the DRS detection point, because he's now just going to probably bolt past us. Yep, problem. It's all right. We'll let you have that for now. Once the tyres are up to speed, we'll get you back. The undercut was massive, though. Sonoda's cut that time in half. Should have probably done Albon first. Gasly's pitting a second time. The fact that some of these people are going on to hards this late actually makes me think those hard runners might not actually go to the end, as Gasly comes out directly on top of Hulkenberg. Alex gets the confidence boost of a fastest first sector for him, so he'll be attacking still below his highest peak, actually. Sargent has caught Sonoda, annoyingly. Don't know how, considering he can't have tyre advantage. Oh, Alex had to go there. Wasn't expecting him to do it there. Cut back, Alex, cut back. Or get the drive off the final corner. I mean, you've not thought that through because there's the DRS detection point coming up. Bottas is coming out on mediums. Did he not go on to hards? Oh no, he's coming in off medium, sorry. Logan Sargent is just on a lap 4/10 slower than Verstappen. It's a good move by Alex. Don't forget he started 11th with Hulkenberg at the back. Such is the power of these Hasses. Oh, he actually did it before the detection point because he's got the DRS driving away from Norris there. And he's obviously on much better mediums compared to Lando's hards, so just quickly drive away before the detection point again. But Albon has come out 12 seconds behind Hulkenberg. There we are. Just make that one stick. I don't know why Sargent is making this difficult for Tsunoda. I think Verstappen's about to lap them as well. I can't fathom it from Sargent there. So all things considered, Albon's lost nothing in the sake of the race just because he has gone back one position, but Hulkenberg's come through everyone because those Hassers are stupid fast for some reason. But he's on mediums and Hulkenberg's on hards. I'm going to presume Gasly's going to get Ocon before the end of this as well, just because of the tyre advantage. But a non-DRS assisted lap is a 1:32.4 compared to a 1:32.8 from Hulkenberg. 12 laps to go. The gap is 12 seconds. It's going to require a lot to get caught up here. Right, so Tsunoda has fallen off the back of Sargent, but that's because of a lapping situation. And he'll get back within 1 second soon. We might need to deal with the fuel towards the end here as well, because we've not quite got that back. Might be able to do it here, actually. Well, with Tsunoda. While Tsunoda's in a bit of a train and still overtaking Sargent. Such a weird overtake. Through goes Yuki. Yuki's conserving fuel here. 4-horse race for 13th.
And up into 14th they go.
Lando's in 13th. Just not to contradict Crofty there. Tsunoda has just gone into 14th. Well, that Ferrari successfully lapped all of us without actually causing any problems. Everyone stayed in formation there. 8 laps to go. I think we're very close to actually being able to take Yuki off recover because not got him there. Albon's up to 7. Oh, God. Of course. Of course. I mean, if Lando wasn't being such a bloody roadblock, but...
And not just one car involved in that, as you can see.
Yep, that's his fault. I don't have any more front wings. I think, weirdly, with major front wing damage, Yuki's actually still going to finish 15th here. I'm going to have to conserve with Alex in his last few laps because there's no way around that. He hasn't caught Hulkenberg. He's not actually losing him by conserving either, weirdly. Hulkenberg has suddenly just gone really slow. If that's accurate, they look very bad. Oh, those hard tyres have gone entirely off. Bottas has caught Yuki, actually, sadly, but... Oh, we're a lap down. I don't need to worry about fuel. Where's Verstappen versus Hulkenberg? Miles ahead. I forgot that we were a lap down. I mean, it's still 11. Hang on, what happens if Max crashes? Oh, the Ferrari's still ahead of us, actually. Yeah, there's a Ferrari there. Oh, for some reason, Albon's not even caught Hulkenberg on those 33% hards. Gasly barely even made inroads on Ocon. Oh, okay, Tsunoda's ending 17th, but never mind. I think he's actually fighting Bottas, which is nice, without a front wing. Like, how much of that is missing? Oh, it's just an end plate. End plate should not be major front wing damage. And Albon should be going so much faster than that Haas right now. But he's barely caught him. Disappointing. I mean, technically it's status quo for Alex. It was actually Lance that started second. The one stop not working out for him, it seems. Obviously, Hulkenberg recovered 9 places from starting at the back. It's crazy that they have so much pace. Like, Alex's best lap was a 1:31.8. It wasn't that bad. It's just Pierre Gasly did a 1:29.8 at some point. The fastest lap was a 1:29.2 from Perez. The ability for some cars just to turn it up is incredible. He did a faster lap than either. Pierre's fastest lap was just marginally slower than the fastest lap of a Ferrari, which is not a thing, really, is it? Let's be real. I mean, no change in the bottom half. Hamilton gets his teammate, Carlos Sainz gets Perez by 2 points, despite Perez's fastest lap. And the constructor stays as is because the game's broken in that respect. I would not expect any changes in the constructors, by the way, unless any constructor develops their car ahead of the one directly ahead of them. That's not changing because without external incidents, without retirements, nobody's getting that top 10 that is those top 5 constructors now because seemingly Alpine have improved where Haas haven't. Although Alfa Romeo do get ahead of Williams in the fastest pit stop. So the sporting changes this time round is for wind tunnel hours and CFD, and to make it less drastic depending on where you finish. So obviously I'm going to say no because you want it to be that way around. Even if I was in first, I'd say no just because it makes it more difficult if you're in first. So that one's not as much of a problem. I'm not going to obviously reset on that. It's a good job we're getting new front wings in, isn't it? This F1 in Schools invitation actually helps improve the new gens. And for the sake of 100 grand, by all means. Have this underfloor complete on the 18th of July and it costs 325 versus I moved in the way. That was bad timing on my part. So have it turn up there or have it turn up here. Well, I'd only got one in time for Belgium even if I had approved that. And no, I'll extend the deadline. I'm not paying 325 grand to get that done before a race that I'm not even going to manufacture it for. No, that's a problem. Unbelievably, Williams and Alfa Romeo voted for those changes. And it was Ferrari that voted against. Shout out to Ferrari. Why did all the Sorry, dear Frontier, for sporting regulations that actively hurt the teams with poor cars, Can you please make them vote sensibly? Oh well, helps us when we do better. But here's the big one. The new front wing, which will change us from... Well, it'll put us right at the front of the grid, but in terms of weight, but move us up in a bunch of areas. The car part itself gives us the third best airflow sensitivity of a front wing of anyone on the grid. Same with third best brake cooling of anyone on the grid, which, you know, doesn't change a lot. It's only about 9% overall. But as a car, we're now top half, 9th in dirty air tolerance and 12th on brake cooling, which is nice. Top speed's actually gone up. How are we now in the top half for this stuff when we've not put those things on our car yet? I'm slightly confused how we managed to go up in other areas drastically, but the important thing is we're getting there. Now, brake cooling does help kind of tire temperatures and things like that, which allows us to obviously push more when we want to push more, as well as preventing lockups. Which is why you notice that kind of, as you get closer to the ultimate maximum performance of these vehicles before they do the harsh regulation changes to bring everyone sort of back again, it's why you kind of notice that you sort of lock up more in these early stages and not quite as much once the car's getting like 80-90% and these kind of things. So next race is the first time we're going to have a major improvement on this vehicle going forward. And we've got 2 races to really wow our board to make them give us more money. Actually, if we can get them to be happy with us, they'll give us a little bit of money, which we can only really put into facilities because obviously there's still a cost cap in terms of car parts. But we're probably not far off actually wanting to improve some facilities, which I now realize we don't really have the money for. So getting any extra little bit of money would be helpful on that front. We're also not really that far off not developing the car anymore and focusing on research rather than main pieces. Now the strategy post Belgium is to develop one more rear wing, one more side pod, and one more suspension. Those 3 car parts that affect the areas that aren't cornering, which are the things that the regulations are changing. And then obviously focus our research primarily on cornering to negate those regulation changes. Because brake cooling, DRS effectiveness, all those things outside of that, the things that the rear wing, suspension, etc., benefit, won't be affected going into the new year, so we'll be able to take that with us into 2024. But thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, kind of an interesting race because it felt like there was a lot of action, but nothing really happened in the grand scheme of things. Yuki had a bit of a moment. Albon effectively finished where he started, just with Hulkenberg coming through, and that was about it. But if you liked it anyway, do give it the actual like, please. As I say, very helpful, and I will see you next time. Until then, ta-ra.